We're on.
Winter Delano here, hoping to give everybody a sneak peek on our upcoming adventure, a canoe expedition from the Gulf of Mexico to the Arctic Ocean.
Hello everyone, my name is John Caveney, here this weekend. First time we've been together since last March with the rest of the Rediscover North America team. A little bit about myself. I'm a St. Cloud, Minnesota native. I worked as a teacher and a coach during my time in Minnesota the last couple years. I have been working out west, doing wilderness therapy work with a lot of members of the crew, and that's kind of where this idea came up, and I'm excited that the ball is rolling. We're all here together spending some quality time, learning a little dynamics and getting some work done.
Hi everybody, my name is Luke Kimmis. Been living out in Steamboat Springs, Colorado for the last 6 years, but I would like to call home Iowa, originally from Des Moines.
My name is Adam Trey. I'm originally from St. Cloud, Minnesota, and I've been living in Utah for the past couple of years.
Jared Moore. Iowa native. Been living out in Utah for a bit and just moved back to get ready for the trip, which is in a few weeks now. Getting pretty excited about it.
Hello, I'm Daniel Flynn from St. Joseph, Minnesota. Pretty excited about this trip.
What are you most excited for on this trip, Dan?
Well, I'm excited to get going. You know, we've been waiting around, preparing for the trip for several months now. Finally, we get to put in and start paddling. It's going to be exciting.
Things I'm most excited for on this trip would be all of the downstream opportunities we're going to have. Probably most notably the Copper Mine, but the one that I'm actually most excited for would be the Red River, because that'll mark the point when we're about halfway done and when we start the downstream portion of our trip.
Most excited. When thinking about it, there's so much, and there's going to be so much detail, but really I think going into Canada, crossing the number of lakes that we're going to cross is a feat in its own, but I've never been to Canada before. I've never been out of the country, so I'm really looking forward to that.
I think looking at the map and where we're going on this trip, what comes to my mind is the diversity we have. Starting on the Mississippi, the historic elements that go along with that, seeing the river from the bottom up, and being in those more metropolis areas, being able to go through urban areas paddling is something I've never done in all my paddling. So that adventure I'm really looking forward to. Also the opportunity to meet people along the way. And the cool part is we switch over, we get to the border, go up the Mississippi, up the Minnesota, and once we hit the red, we get into the remote elements of the trip after Lake Winnipeg, getting to explore the lakes, the rivers of Canada. I think this trip has all those elements, and that's something that I'm really looking forward to. Each river, each lake will be a new adventure.
Probably most excited for the chance to get up into Canada. Never been up to Canada before, so this is going to be a new experience for me. Just a 9-month expedition in itself I think is going to be huge as well. Pretty excited for that aspect.
What are you most nervous about, Adam?
I'd say some of the things I'm most nervous about is just probably like crew dynamic over 9 months and all of the temptations that we'll have throughout the United States of being able to go and do this or do other things that are normally not incorporated with a long canoe expedition, especially one of 9 months in length.
How do you think it's going to be living with the same 6 people for 9 months?
You know, that element of the trip is real interesting. I have really not much to wrap my head around. The work that a lot of us did is working in wilderness therapy. We know small group dynamics for a week at a time, and hopefully we can put some of those skills that we've learned over the years to use, but it will be very interesting to be living close quarters, staying, sleeping, eating with the same people, 5 people for the 9 months. I think it'll bring out the best in us and sometimes the worst, but I'm really confident in the crew that we have that we'll be able to assertively problem solve, and whatever this trip throws at us, there'll be so many elements that we don't know. I'm confident that we can handle it together.
Most nervous, I think down south, like in Louisiana and stuff, you got gators and snakes, and so that aspect of it is going to be pretty nerve-wracking, but I think we're prepared for it as well.
What's the trip preparation been like this last couple months?
Trip prep for this has been a little bit different than what I'm used to. The longest trip I've ever done before is a 50-day trip, and getting ready for that isn't too bad. It only takes, you know, really, if you stick to it with a couple guys, a couple days, you can do most of it. Whereas this one, like, we'll come out and we'll get ready and we'll do candy bars, or we'll do lunch food, and we'll do lunch food for a few hours, and then we'll realize that we've only accomplished the first, 100 days of our trip. The food prep has definitely been the longest portion, just doing it time and time again with a bunch of us, and always realizing that we're not quite done when we finish after going for a few hours.
All right, Dan, what do you think sets us apart with this trip compared to other trips?
Well, I think we're just 6 normal guys setting aside the time to go on this great adventure, this monumentous expedition. There's nothing really extraordinary about us except for the will to do it.
So, why, I guess, is the big question when it comes to this trip. Why do you want to be a part of it?
Why? Well, once in a lifetime opportunity, really. And the things that we're going to see and experience is going to be more than most do in a lifetime in these 9 months.
Just want to thank Canoe and Kayak again for hosting our blog, all of our generous sponsors, Hilleberg, Astral, Wind Paddle Sales, Big Agnes, and Shred Ready. And we hope everybody tunes in and follows along as we paddle up, you know what I mean? Just like, paddle up.